What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to another edition of the Transfer View. And oh my, we've got a lot to talk about this morning, beginning with Bryan Mbeumo. Looks like he's on his way to Manchester United from Brentford. 50 to 60 million pounds possible for a transfer this summer. Our second of the summer transfer window. But are there high demands? Are there high demands when it comes to his wages? With a new report suggesting he may want £250,000 per week with the Red Devils. But, as is always the case, things may not be as they seem, because the person who is reporting this is not a journalist that covers Manchester United, but rather a journalist that covers Newcastle. And because they cover Newcastle, does that mean maybe throwing some things out there? Oh, I'll tell you what, my StreamYard's doing that thing again, Joe. Oh, it's always annoying.
See, you look blurry. I was thinking, it's me, because when I pull up, there's always a problem.
No,
I was thinking,
it's just it'll be 5 seconds and then I come back in. You know what I mean? I'll come back. There you go. Now I'm back. It's always the way. I'll tell you what as well. I was doing a good intro there. I was feeling it. I was hyped up.
He's proper in your morning presenter bag, and then it all.
I was. I'm pressing it. By internet, I'll tell you. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to the Transfer View. Hey, we got plenty to discuss this morning. That's right. Bombs are going off because it's going to be a big show. Well, it's the big show. Yes, it's going to be a big show this morning because Bryan Mbeumo, that rhymes with big show. Could he be on his way to Manchester United? Well, according to reports, yes, 50 to 60 million pounds. But could there be an extra wrinkle in the transfer plan when it comes to Manchester United? Because could he want £250,000 a week? It's a lot of money. But one report suggests that's what he's looking for. The actual report, though, things may not be as they seem because the person reporting it doesn't cover Manchester United. He covers Newcastle, one of the teams that missed out on Mbeumo. Could he just be saying that because Newcastle have told him to? We'll discuss it all this morning. Let me know what you think about it. Do we want £250,000 a week on the wage bill? Or is it just fake news? Are just Ops fans just sour and bitter? Why would you want Mbeumo from Brentford? Unless we were going actually after him, then we would want Mbeumo from Brentford. Is it something like that? You can let us know. We've got a big show. We're joined by Joe Blackman this morning as well. Joe, how are we doing?
No, first of all, Owen, now that is how you run an intro. Energy. Where do you find this energy in the morning, bro? Yeah.
I don't know because before I press go live, I don't have that energy. That energy is not here.
He was not the same person when you turn. By the way, guys, he's not the same person afterwards. Very relaxed. Anyway, no, the Bryan Mbeumo news. Listen, happy he's here. But do you believe? I don't believe. I genuinely don't believe that he's going to want those kind of wages. I mean, the structure already demands that he can't be on those kind of wages. And I believe that Ineos is going to be sticking to their guns. They're only talking to people that know about the project, what it's about, and hopefully they can stick within those guidelines of what they've actually suggested. So let's see, because I don't think he's going to want 250k a week. And if he does want 250k a week, you ain't getting 250k a week. It's just that simple. I believe that when the season starts, Bryan Mbeumo will not be on 250k a week.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Already, this is going to be a big show. We've got 700 people through the door. Already over 100 likes. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Let's see if we can get to 250, 500. We're getting close to 1K on likes on these morning shows recently because everyone's excited for transfers. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe. You can see in the top right-hand corner there. Look, over here. We are less than 500 to go into 195,000 on that run to 200k. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. It's transfer season. Click the notification bell because the schedule goes out the window. Yeah, it goes out the window because we could be live. We could drop a video at any moment as transfer news breaks in this beginning of the transfer window. So yes, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. I can see people already in the chat. A lot of people saying Flex looks different. Some people saying Flex has had a bit of a glow up. Maybe that's what it is. They said Flex, he said.
Flex
Yeah,
took his hat off.
yeah,
This is what Flex looks like when he takes his hat off.
yeah,
Amazing. Look at
yeah. Exactly. That's it. All he had to do was just take the hat off. Just
you
once.
know,
That's all he had. That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do.
real Jamaican
To
come
take the
out.
hat off.
Real Jamaican came out of it. But
Exactly.
anyway,
Exactly. Well, you were there. You were there at the weekend, were you not? You were there. Were you supporting Jamaica? Didn't get the victory
come
though,
on.
unfortunately.
He didn't
Didn't
get
get
the
the
victory,
victory.
but did you see? But I know you've seen, Owen. You see how have you seen how we lose though? Have you seen?
I saw celebrations afterwards.
We lose,
I
we
saw.
lose on point.
Yeah.
Like when we turn up, it doesn't matter if it's win, lose, or draw. It's always a party. You can come party with us, losers, winners. It don't matter. Just come party. That's the way to lose.
Yeah.
By the way, Man United could never. By the way, by the way.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. I saw that afterwards. I think is the vlog up on KG's channel for that yet, or is it coming soon?
Yo is doing the Lord's work as we speak. So
Right. Yes.
hopefully today should be dropping.
Hopefully today. Yes, I saw some teasers from that one. Looked very exciting. Let's begin with this Brian and Mbeumo stuff. Now, this one again is interesting because are things what they seem? So obviously, we have heard the news from the likes of David Ornstein and others that Brian Mbeumo, he's chosen Manchester United. He wants to go to Manchester United. He's rejected the likes of Arsenal. He's rejected the likes of Newcastle. He's rejected the likes of Spurs and others. It's only Old Trafford that he wants, but along with a possible £50 million price tag, maybe as high as 60. A new report from, again, this journalist here, which we'll talk about in just a second, suggested that Brian Mbeumo is hoping for a wage increase of £250,000 a week to join Manchester United this summer, which would put him among some of the highest earners at Old Trafford. In addition to that, of course, there's been a lot of work recently from Ineos and the powers that be at Manchester United to get that wage structure down and get that wage bill down. And would Ineos even really go for that? But as I mentioned, things aren't necessarily all that they seem, because the person who said this is Martin Hardy. He works for the Times and the Sunday Times. You go, okay, fairly reputable, but he doesn't cover Manchester United for the Times and the Sunday Times. He covers Newcastle. He's a northern sports correspondent, specifically a northeast correspondent, and has very close ties to Newcastle. So by doing a little of deduction here, Joe, you would have thought maybe he's got this story from his Newcastle sources, which could be just a bit of saving face. Could it not, by going, well, the reason we didn't get him, it's not because, why would he want to go to Manchester United, who finished 15th? It's money, of course, and we wouldn't do that. So do you buy this? Do you buy this story, Joe?
It sounds like sour grapes to me, Owen. If I'm being quite honest with you, sour grapes. You know, when someone's trying to save face when it comes to, oh yeah, well, he didn't want us anyway, so well, he's ugly. Don't worry about him. You're throwing stones. Stop throwing stones. Leave him alone. Get on with it. Why do you even care what he's on? That's the question. Why do you even care? Why does that matter? So yeah, it seems like the Newcastle fans or the Newcastle media team trying to get something out there to make it play down the fact that they didn't get him. Do you know what I mean? Don't act like they didn't want him. You know you wanted him.
It's true. It's true. And Flex mentioned it yesterday, and I do agree that that video of everyone on the red carpet when the news broke and everyone was happy and celebrating, I think it's got over 2,000 bookmarks at the moment.
Yep.
Ready?
Just wait for it. Because if we don't sign him, yeah, you guys are going to be.
Yeah, well, and it's even if we do, it's like the waiting for failure kind of situation. But look, it makes me laugh because, first of all, Brian Mbeumo, according to Capology, one of my favorite websites, suggested that he's on £45,000 a week in his current contract at Brentford. So he'd be going up over £200,000 a week if indeed this reporting was accurate. I just don't really buy that. You look at Manchester United's wage structure right now, which, to be fair, Ineos have done a lot of work on over the last sort of 12 to 18 months, moving a lot of high-paid players on. Just in general, it's been something Man United have wanted to reduce over the last couple of years. There's only 2 players, or 3 technically, of £250,000 above at the moment. I say at the moment, we're counting the people out on loan. At the moment, that are over £250,000. That's Mount, that's Bruno, that's Casemiro. Now, granted, when Marcus Rashford comes back, yes, he would be over that threshold. Jadon Sancho would be on that threshold. But at the same time, as we'll talk about later on, Sancho, he's not going to come back, even though he's coming back to United. He will not stay. That was confirmed this morning. Marcus Rashford, we know he's on his way out as well. So that wage, that's going to be going too. Considering it's Mount, Bruno, Casemiro, that are only £250,000 above. I mean, I know, look, Mbeumo would be, significant signing for us. But even that just goes to show that they're just not looking to put people on that kind of salary. So even if he was hoping for it, he's not going to get it.
I doubt. I mean, anybody can hope for something, innit? The reality is the reality of the situation at the end of the day. I could hope I win $1 million tomorrow. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. Do you know? So, look, all these reports of him wanting something is just rumors at the end of the day. So let's just relax and let's see what happens, because I feel like this is just fires for no reason, and they're toking flames. They're toking this. Is that the right terminology for it? They're
stoking
stoking the flames. so yeah. You know what Joe Blackman's be thinking of. No,
yeah, exactly. It's early.
They're toking the flames. So for me, it means that we just have to be a bit calm as Manchester United fans and just see what happens. I'm not in for all these rumor mill stuff and trying to get us on the bandwagon of hating a player before he even gets here, because I think that's what they're trying to do. Always with the negative. Where's the positive in it? Where's the positive spin? Let's hear about the positive things he could do. It's always negative. So I'm not here for it until I see him on the pitch and I hear what he's actually on. I'm not going to be worried about these kind of reports at all.
No, and also as well, you hear the same thing yesterday that Jadon Sancho, his deal fell apart going to Chelsea because he wanted something similar of what he was on, which is around, again, £250,000 a week. And Chelsea were like, absolutely not. I struggle. I just struggled. I know in the past, Manchester United would have absolutely given him Mbeumo. Yeah, we'll give you £250,000 a week. Even if we were in the Champions League, we just do it for fun most of the time. I just don't even think that that's really the intention here. You look at some of the contracts that Ineos have given out, even some of the people we signed last summer, that the highest paid player that we signed last summer was De Ligt. He's on 195. Go down, Mazraoui's 135. Ugate's 120. The new contract they gave to Ahmad was 120. Lenny Yoro, 115. Xerxes, 105. So I think the reality is if Mbeumo comes in, it's probably going to be something around maybe like a 150, maybe along those lines. I mean, I heard with the Cunha one Cunha could be around 200, maybe a little bit under that. So I think this, because also you bring up a good point. Just because someone asked you, so let's say he's established in Mbeumo, he didn't want to go to Newcastle. So, but just because he asked Newcastle for 250k a week, that doesn't mean that was his going price for everyone. If you want to go somewhere, you make concessions. If I don't want to go somewhere, then yeah, I'm asking for a lot of money. Look at the Bruno situation with Saudi. He didn't want to go. He kept going, well, seriously, how much are you going to offer me? Because I don't want to go. Keep escalating. So just because he asked Newcastle, I'd kind of be looking at £250,000 a week to go to the Northeast. Doesn't mean you want 250k to go to the Northwest. Entirely different, So the badge still does mean something, perhaps. And like you said,
you know what?
I mean, it sounds like sour grapes.
Sorry. Yeah, sour grapes. So do you know the funny thing is, Owen? Yeah, that thing now about are we still Manchester United, and we've been going that. Oh, it doesn't wait. It does. We all said it at the end of the season. We're not Manchester United. It doesn't mean it means nothing. Owen, we're still Manchester United. And we found that out. We're still Manchester United. This is Manchester United we're talking about. Yeah. I'm being
oh my God,
it's I'm sorry, Owen, but it's hitting home that we are still Manchester United. And when things like this happen, it does just go to show that there's a abundance of players and there will be an abundance of managers that all are going to want to bring Manchester, be the one that said, I brought Manchester United back to their glory days. There's always going to be an abundance of players and an abundance of managers who know the heritage and understand what Manchester United are about. And I think it's been shown this week. And hopefully in the weeks to come. Because even like last season with the Lenny Euro thing, we never thought that was going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now teams are choosing us. I mean, players are choosing us over bigger teams that are in Champions League. Doesn't matter. Yeah. So let's just, we are still Manchester United. Just keep that in our hearts and never forget that.
This is Manchester United we're talking about. This is Manchester United we're talking about. Remember that? This is Manchester United.
Well, I heard
we're
it so much
talking
time
about.
for KG. Played it like 50 times yesterday on the show.
Oh my God. My God. When he gets something that he likes, that's going to be. Yeah. SD with the first. SD with the first super chat of the morning says, fake news about a 15th place United teammate generates food on the table for these journos. And Mbeumo 50 million news gets more clicks than Vert's 100 million pound plus news. Well, like Joe said, this is Manchester United we're talking about. And it's Manchester United that they're always talking about, unfortunately. And that, again, I go back to that reaction on social media after Ornstein made the announcement. On Monday, the pushback of it all, of being like, why am I not going after someone from Brentford? Wait, whoa. That's like, where's my dumb Robbie noises? Where's my dumb Robbie noises? I got a million wait a minutes here. I got the there.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah, and again.
No, wait a minute. Wait.
Let's be honest here, okay? If Newcastle did sign Bryan Mbeumo, it would be, look at them, great business. If Chelsea did sign him, it'd be, look at them, Chelsea, they're making serious moves. If it was Arsenal, it'd be, look at that, they're building this. This is the season that they'll win a trophy. If it was Liverpool, I tell you what, actually, I tell you what, that's smart business. If it was anyone, if Brighton. That's why they look at them. They're smart. They're always 2-3 steps ahead. But if it's Man United, just because of our reputation, which is fair, look, it's a reputation we've earned of having destroying players. But suddenly we're like, oh no, look at United. What, they're going from Brentford? Oh, look how the mighty have fallen. We've signed back big players over the last decade. They've all been shit. Does it matter who we signed them from?
That's what I was waiting for, Owen, because that's the thing. They want us to do Galactico signings every season, and we have been famous for it under the Glazers. Do you know what I mean? Every season we're waiting to see who that big name player is that's going to come in. It was Pogba, it was Ibrahimovic, it was whoever. Yeah, I mean, it was always some big name coming in. Falcao, somebody.
Yeah.
Names that we didn't need. Yeah, look at that. Sanchez, all those players that came in for big money for no reason. Yeah, and what's done for us. But I think that's what the media, that's what fans across the world still want us to do sometimes. And you know what? We ain't doing it no more. If we could build a team, with players that we've hardly heard of, that end up being good, get these young players in and build them up, still from Arsenal, still from whoever we can, get these players in, and hopefully we're building a team for the future. Even if they don't all survive, at least we're going to be able to sell some people off. And I think that's the thinking behind Ineos' strategy so far. And I'm liking it. I think a lot of people have been complaining about, even if we got the money for Bruno, was he going to trust them to spend it properly? Do you know what? Has Ineos really done anything wrong in these transfer windows? Look how early we're moving. I think we need to start putting some respect on their names a little bit. They've done their job. They're doing their jobs in the transfer window.
It's going to be a controversial take. You're not allowed to say that, those nice things. I think, look, when it comes to the transfer window, it's weird. Last season's transfer window is the subject of a lot of debate, isn't it? Because it's like, technically, it was all right. Yeah, it was all right. But then it's like, what are you comparing it against? You're comparing it against, terrible transfer windows. The season before, absolutely, it was the worst transfer window ever. We're talking Onana, Mount, Højlund. It's aged awfully. The one last summer, you go, well, look what we finished in the league. But if you look at all of the people we signed, the majority of them anyway, you go, well, Xerxes, second half of the season definitely came better. People like Delic Mazraoui, one of our best value for money signings we've made in 100%. The longest time. Ugarte, jury's maybe still a little bit out on him, and it probably hasn't helped PSG winning the Champions League the season after. Everyone's like, see, that's why they got rid of him. That hasn't helped things on top of it. But in terms of a window, it's not the worst window we've ever had, certainly. But could it be better? Of course it could be better. Are we expecting this summer to be better? It has to be better because we need so much. But and then like you said, that's transfers. Then if you want to get into the other stuff, the cuts, the other decisions, regarding the manager, regarding when they brought Ruben Amorim in, and all this kind of stuff, they've got so much wrong. But I think you're right to separate the different parts of it, because I think if we do this the blankets, it's been terrible. You go, well, some have, absolutely. Some maybe, not so much. It's a big debate to have, isn't it? That's the point. It's a big debate to have. Shane says the wages you offer is the reason you can't offload. Well, certainly they know that, which is why they've tried to fix it over the last 18 months, and they've still got a long way to go. Make no mistake, Casemiro's in the Brazil squad. I know he got played a lot in the second half of the season. If United got an offer for Casemiro this summer, they'd take it. They'd look at it. He's on over £300,000 a week. I think 350 to be specific. They really want their highest paid player to be Bruno Fernandes. He's on 300k, and I think that's the max point. They don't want anyone to be up and above that. And to be honest, it probably shouldn't be with what he's contributed. So I think this idea that Mbeumo would come in and be close to the highest paid player at the club, I just cannot see that. That'd just be mistakes of the past, would it not?
Forget that. Yeah, look, under the Woodwards and whatever the other one's name was, we have been doing that. Yeah, Murta. We was just flinging money at players because they had no plan or a structure that they were sticking to. So at least we have one now. Players know about it, staff know about it. So it's something that should be well known by now, at least to the players and their agents and stuff like that. So I don't understand. Like you said, well, I'm going to try and say it properly this time. They're just stoking the flames to try and get Manchester United, fans, angry at a player before they even arrive. And you know what our fan base is like as well? We are easily turned. Oh my God, he wants 250k. Get rid of. We don't want him. Da 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 da. That's the kind of look. I've been guilty of it before, but that's why I'm saying this season you're going to see a calmer Joe, less shouting. Just measured Joe. You think you're going to see measured G? No, measured Joe. Yeah.
Oh, he's been too much time around KG. Measured.
Yeah. All right. Calm Joe. You're going to see calm Joe. Yeah. Calm Joe.
Yeah. We'll see. This the EV community doesn't forget. Shane with another super chat says we're going to speak about that dead pivot. Well, hopefully we're going to be addressing the midfield by signing more players to go into the midfield this season. So that's the latest on Brian Mbeumo. Let's talk next about everyone's favorite topic. That's Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho, he's not going to be staying at Manchester United, but he will be returning to Manchester United. Yes, he won't be staying, but he will be returning. Of course, the news came out yesterday from Fabrizio Romano and others, later confirmed by Jadon Sancho himself, that he is leaving Chelsea. They couldn't come to terms on a contract because, of course, no contract was agreed when this loan deal was put together. Therefore, Chelsea will have to pay the penalty to Manchester United, which is £5 million, as Ben Jacobs said to Flex here on the interview yesterday on the channel. I would recommend to check it out. Chelsea view that now as more of a £5 million loan fee, so it's really just a straight loan. So Sancho will return, but if you're worried that Sancho is going to be coming back or be reintegrated, Manchester United have zero plans to reintegrate him because, let's face it, the Sancho story at Manchester United, it's over, isn't it? It was over a long time ago. If Manchester United got their way, it would have been completely over last summer, but things rumbled on, and the hope for him to go permanently to Chelsea didn't happen. So he's going to have to find another suitor, but are there concerns that the same reason it didn't work out at Chelsea, wages, money, could be the same reason it doesn't work out elsewhere? Would other Premier League clubs be willing to pay him £250,000 a week? Could a club in Europe even afford £200,000 or £250,000 a week? That was an issue last summer when other clubs like Juventus, Dortmund and others said we'd like him, but we can't afford him. Could now finally he make the decision to go to Saudi? Ben Jacobs exclusively revealed yesterday here on the channel that there is Saudi interest, but just 2 years ago when he fell out of Erik ten Hag, he did have a Saudi offer on the table and he said no. Would he say yes now? Things have changed, perhaps. Maybe he could go to a club in the Club World Cup. We'll see. But just to confirm this on Jadon Sancho, that he's not going to be coming back. Fabrizio Romano posting this morning that Jadon Sancho won't stay at Manchester United this summer. Plan is clear on both the player and club side. Players camp to assess all options in the next weeks, as Sancho will return to Man United, not playing in the FIFA Club World Cup with Chelsea. So he is going to be coming back. Maybe he'll be involved in pre-season training or something like that, Joe, but he's not going to be staying. There was this rumor. I don't know if you heard this, or I don't know if it was a report, but it was a rumor. I think BBC put it out. And they said that after the Europa Conference League final, he was overheard on the phone on the pitch. And he was like, I'm not going, don't worry, I'm not going back to Manchester United, kind of thing.
Yeah, I heard that.
So it looks like he doesn't want to come back. Manchester United don't want to come back. Do you have any worries, though? Like the same reason it fell apart at Chelsea could be the same reason why it's difficult to get a move?
I've been saying this since the season ended. Yeah. Me and a couple of the delegates have been going back and forth about this one now. I'm not gonna be surprised because first of all, I think we will see him on tour, 100%. I don't think we're gonna sell him in time. Nobody really wants him. The wages, like you were saying, are crazy. Even Dortmund don't even want him back. Do you know what I mean? Unless Saudi coming for him, we're gonna have a long time getting rid of this guy. That's what I believe. Number one, yeah. Number two, the manager's gonna use him on tour. Why do I feel like he's going to impress the manager on tour?
Do you think that's going to be the case?
Owen, I'm not lying to you. If Saudi don't come and get Jadon Sancho, don't be surprised if he doesn't lose his number. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
What do you think he might under Ruben? He might just actually like Ruben.
He's not played under this manager. The manager's not used him. The only people that are forcing him out the club are the higher ups. Yeah. And as we know, Ruben can obviously influence these players like Bruno and say, bro, I want you to stay. Yeah. I want you to stay. Bruno stayed. Who knows? Who knows what he says to Jadon after Jadon comes back? And he may be polishing apples when he comes back, you know? He could be the perfect student when he comes back under Ruben Amorim. Oh, you know, you never know. Teacher's pet when he comes back. Don't get mad at it. Don't get mad if you see Jadon playing because I done told you it might happen. Yeah. After preseason will tell all. I think if he plays well during preseason and no one's buying him, Owen, watch this space. It may not be nice news, but what? Yeah, I know, Joe, but I get it, but it's true. You never know.
I don't know. I just look at it going, because also as well, some of the public stances he's made. And it's not that he's come out and been like, you know, I hate Manchester United, but you know, the freedom thing with Rashford, like the Man United fans don't like that that's the thing that people keep talking about after, like yesterday, going, how's that freedom going? Oh, but what about that freedom? You put a price on freedom, right? Because he wouldn't take the wage cut and what have you. I do understand the fears because Flex and myself spoke about this on a couple of these shows going, he'll figure it out, Chelsea. He has to, because that's the best place for him. He's not going to get that good of an opportunity elsewhere. I can't see, you know, would a club in Europe be able to afford him? Probably not. Chelsea, they're in Champions League. You just won a trophy there. You know, yes, you're going to have to take a substantial pay cut. It's not like a little one. It's a substantial one. He's around 250K a week. You'd have to go down to 150, something like that. But Chelsea do have an incentive-based wage structure. So if you play well and if you win trophies, which you always think, you know, back yourself, you can make that money up. He said no. So now he has kind of shown his hand a little bit that he wants to get the similar amount of money that he's on, which is around that 250. What options are out there? Because he will not get that. He won't get that in Europe. He won't get that. Juventus won't give him that. Dortmund won't give him that. So there's only one, isn't there? There's only one option, which is Saudi, or he feels like I'll just get another Premier League loan or I'll get another loan elsewhere. Man United be forced to pay part of my wages again.
This is what is going to happen with Jadon Freedom, right? So Freedom is looking to stay here until his contract runs down, whether it's hook or by crook, yeah? No, worry about it. If you ain't going to pay my wages, guess what? Someone else will loan me this season until my contract is finished. Yeah. Until his contract is finished, he will stay here, go out on loan again. Yeah. Because like you said, if the higher ups are just adamant that he won't play for Manchester United, they'll put him out on loan again somewhere. But like you said, still paying his wages, still with that price on freedom. You get what I'm saying? So I think the best you can hope for, if Saudi don't come in for him, is for him to go out on loan again. Other than that, he's playing for us. Because I can't see someone in the Premier League paying that much for him if it wasn't Chelsea. If Chelsea are not willing to pay those wages, who the hell else are going to be willing to pay those wages? Yeah. So that's it for me. For me, he might be here next season, 100% playing, or best you can hope for is loan.
Yeah, I mean that might be it. And you're right. If it does get to, well, he's really adamant on not taking a pay cut, and he doesn't want to go Saudi, so his options are limited, so it'd end up being a loan. That would mean he's most likely going to be here until the end of the transfer window, because Man United will keep trying to sell him, keep trying to find a permanent solution. Then a couple of days left, they'll be like, all right, well, we'll just figure out a loan with maybe an obligation to buy or something like that. They'll try anything at that point. And that's where he might end up maybe going across Europe, or maybe, a Premier League club towards the end of the window. They need something, they panic. Same situation with like Arsenal and Sterling last season, because that's another issue that Chelsea will have this summer. It's a similar situation whereby Sterling's on over like £300,000 a week at Chelsea. He's well out of the wage structure, and they don't want him. But on Sterling's perspective, he's like, I'm not getting that anywhere else, and I want to stay in England. So, I'll just set out my contract. And then they're like, well, we can send you out on loan, but you still got to pay me my full amount. Yeah, well, fine, no problem. And then that's what I'll do. So I do agree. I think this one is going to rumble on.
They still look good. That's the thing. They still play football. They still look good. The likes of Jadon Sancho could add another trophy to his cabinet now. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's done terrible on that loan spell. He's got another trophy out of it. So you just never know. You never know. Chelsea might even take it back on loan again if they don't want to. They might be waiting for him to finish his contract here. So they can
well, what's funny as well, you bring up this good point, because Sancho does have a way of doing this. Wherever he goes, the first 2 or 3 games, he'll put a good shift in. He'll make an impact. Think about it last preseason when he was on the preseason tour, and everyone went, "Oh, I tell you what, actually, Sancho, he looks all right in the first couple of games, first preseason matches." I think there was it was in Edinburgh, and it was Sancho and Ahmad. They look all right, actually. And then when he went on loan to Chelsea, first couple of games, I tell you what, couple of assists here. Oh, maybe doesn't look bad. Dortmund, he did it when he went on loan. First couple of games, hey, it's just not bad. And then he tails off for like 25 games. No one talks about it. But first few games. So on that tour, for a couple of games here, couple of assists, couple of goals in the 10s.
Amrim's thinking, this looks all right, mate. He's an extra option, another body. I have lost a lot of attackers. Rashford's gone. Anthony's gone. He's still here.
Garnacho's gone. Garnacho.
Oh, the time's running out on the transfer window.
You can see what the chat feels. Lilio is just outwardly booing. Petas is saying, "Shut up, Joe," about Sancho staying.
I'm sorry, but it might happen. Well, look, I'm not saying it's all written in stone or nothing, but just if the reality starts happening where he's not being sold, brace yourselves. Get strapped in for the ride, because the Jadon's freedom show may not be over. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and also, because Uncle says the news clearly states he won't stay. What are we debating? I don't think it's the fact that we'll be debating about him staying. I think it's the fact that he could be more involved in preseason than maybe we necessarily think. It might not be cut and dry that he's just like, when he returns at United, he's just going to go out immediately. There might be a soft a bit last summer. It'll be last summer again, which is, well, exactly. If we're going to try to sell him or going to try and loan him out, he has to train with the squad and play some preseason games. We have to actively put him in the shop window. We have to do something. We have to give the impression that he could possibly stay, because otherwise we've got no place to negotiate from. Because that was what happened last season, wasn't it? Eric was told, Eric Ten Hag and Jadon Sancho hated each other. They reintegrated, right? And we're like, well, we have to play him. You play Jadon in these preseason games and blah blah blah. Once it got serious, once the
He
season
looked
started,
good.
he was like, I'm not playing him now. But you're right. He probably will be involved in the preseason stuff unless something's done really, really quickly. But with his wages, I just don't think that is going to happen really, really quickly. That one's going to drag out, unfortunately, which is very frustrating. Very frustrating. Maynard says, Talus, why does he need to be? Why he needs to be at preseason training? Sometimes it's contractual obligations that they have to be. They have to be there, unless they get special dispensation, of course, that they're told, you don't have to go. But in that case, again, it makes it more difficult for United to sell the player, which is the problem, because then they'll be like, we know you desperately don't want him. We'll have him on a free. And they're like, well, no, we got to have some kind of, you know what I mean? It gets difficult. It gets difficult. A couple of super chats here. Bahir says, the Ops are angry because we're still in the market for good players. When we lost the final, they hoped we wouldn't have the money to be somewhat competitive in the market. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, they've got to try and find a way to laugh at Manchester United. Got to try and find a way. We've got close to 1,800 people watching, folks. We're nearly at 500 likes. So let's get to 500. Then aim for 750. 1K. We're about halfway through the show. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Let's get on our way to 1K likes. I know maybe you don't like the Sancho stuff, but you're clicking for the show. Clicking for the show, not the Sancho news.
Sorry.
You know what I mean? Joe's just, you're trying to live in reality, Joe. How dare you? How dare you? It's
Hey,
not
man,
right.
I'm being calm, Joe.
Measured.
You gotta be calm.
Measured.
Nah, I'm not gonna use KG's one. Calm Joe. Calm Joe is the one that realizes that these things could happen. These things could happen.
Yeah.
Just stay calm. Keep calm and carry on.
Exactly. Exactly. With your glass of OJ in the morning, right? That's how it is. Keep calm, carry on, have your glass of OJ. Let's talk next about Bruno Fernandes. Something not divisive at all. Bruno Fernandes, the Manchester United captain. Of course, he has rejected. Yes, exactly. Sarcasm. It's the lowest form of wit. Has talked about rejecting Saudi, of course. He spoke to his family. They said, no, we don't want to go there. Rejected over £700,000 a week. An offer to join Al Hilal, plus bonuses, a transfer fee that could have been north of €100 million, maybe even higher than £100 million. Could have been part of a major rebuild this summer for Manchester United. But he said no, he's not going to join. He's going to stay. Ruben Amorim said, I want you to stay. In addition to that, he spoke publicly yesterday at a press conference revealing that he did have talks with the Al Hilal president, but decided to turn them down. And also, the Manchester United official X account did post those quotes on social media, and that got people riled up too, saying, does a big club even operate like this? Manchester United, they shouldn't be praising the captain for staying. They should just be moving on and should be like, damn right, he's staying because we're so big. Is it a sign of the change of the times at Manchester United? This one is interesting. Let's have a look at what was said yesterday. Beginning with these quotes from Bruno Fernandes. So indeed, he's on international duty at the moment. These players never stop playing football, do they? Bruno Fernandes on his future and turning down Al Hilal. He said there was an opportunity. The president called me and asked if I wanted to go there. They were waiting for me. I spoke to Amorim. He asked me not to go. They didn't want to sell me. They do not need the money. Which, again, I'm sure will rub Man United fans the wrong way because Manchester United do not need the money. We don't need £100 million, according to Bruno. Bruno is priceless. He also said, Al Hilal were very kind. They spoke to my agent, then spoke to my wife. She asked, what do you want to do? She always supports my decisions. It would have been easy to move there. I know the Portuguese players there very well, but I want to play at the highest level and compete for major titles. Now, as I mentioned, that was Bruno's comments there, quotes there, and they were then shared by Manchester United saying, skipper, a love heart to Bruno Fernandes, even referencing, joining Al Hilal on the official social media pages. Actually going openly and saying, yeah, Bruno, he did have an offer to leave, but he decided to stay and we love him because he stayed. Joe, does that rub you the wrong way, seeing Man United act like that? Do you even care?
This is what I don't understand. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, innit? Yeah. Because for me, I openly said, yes, we need the money. But if the man stays, I'm not mad at it because it will help the manager for the next season. It's better to add to what we have than try to replace it. Do you know what I'm saying? So A little bit of me inside screamed with happiness when he said he's staying. And you know that bit of pride in you for wanting to be like when you say, this is Manchester United we're talking about. Yeah, that's what that means. Yeah, when someone chooses to stay at your club to win things and wants to be at your club through heritage and through the fact that he wants to bring us back to the top, and he could have taken the bag. We all know what kind of generational wealth we've been talking about him receiving if he took the Saudi money. Well, look, he's our captain. That's why I think it should be praised. Why shouldn't it be lauded that he says, listen, I want to stay here and I want to win things, the biggest things. How could you not be excited by that? How could you not be happy? Isn't it one of the things that the manager says that he wants players that wants to play for us, wants to play for the badge? Yeah. What truer words could be spoken for Manchester United captain? By the way, our captain. Come on now, people need to stop this. Celebrate the little wins as well as the big ones, isn't it? Yeah, and that was a mini win. So, although I know a lot of people are upset about the money, though, how do you feel about the money situation, though, Owen? Do you feel like we should have got the money and pushed them out the door?
Well, I spoke about this yesterday on TalkSport 2 with Flex. Yes, United View takeover on TalkSport 2 yesterday. Big up to the people that tuned in. I do think there were some people that maybe already spending the money a little bit. You know, they already thought they were going to get a windfall, like I said, and they were already picking out the curtains for their house kind of situation. And then we're told that windfall's not really coming. And it's like, oh, damn, maybe we don't get those curtains then. I'd never really thought that far. If it was a case of, oh, we're not going to get Mbeumo now because Bruno's staying, and actually that Cunha one's in a bit of jeopardy now because Bruno's staying, then I would have been a bit worried because I'd have been like, well, we're not going to get anyone then this summer. We really do have no money, and we need more than Bruno Fernandes because with Bruno Fernandes, we still really struggled last season. But that's not the case. As Bruno said himself, Man United said they don't need the money. They don't need the over £100 million, which actually, depending on how you look at it, maybe it's just shown Manchester United's hand a little bit this summer. We've got money to spend. We do have money to spend. We can sign. Exactly. We can sign Cunha. We can sign Mbeumo without selling anyone. Those are the two transfers that they're like, right, without player sales, we can get those two. In addition to that, Rashford going. He's pure profit as well. 40 million, you could spend 120 million off that. Alejandro Garnacho, another one that's pure profit. Could be around 50 million pounds. You can spend 150 million pounds based off that, yeah? Pure profit. We're going to look at other players. Hoyland, a little bit on Hoyland this morning. He could go. Onana, he could go. Then you're looking at other players as well going, well, actually, maybe someone like, I know, Casemiro, he could go. Anthony, he's going to be going. Sancho, he's going to be going, maybe, on loan. But all of those players there, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money that can be spent. So I think what Bruno is kind of saying there, well, yeah, an extra £100 million, of course. Of course, that would be nice to have, but it's not required. It's not required in this summer window. I don't think the plans have been negatively affected because he has stayed or anything like that. I think this was going to be extra. I think this was going to be extra on top. And maybe that's what people saying we need or we wanted. But clearly, we've said to back the manager and to back the coach, Ruben wanted him to stay. He's staying. So that's that to Ruben Amorim, that's a win. He said it after the last friendly, didn't he? Going, I don't think he's played the last game. Bruno's saying a lot of no to everything. And I did find it very interesting too, that he kind of took the heat off his wife in those quotes there, because he sort of said, well, no, the president spoke to my wife actually, and my wife just said to me, look, what do you want to do? We'll support anything you do. It's my decision. So it wasn't because of the family, but that plays a part, obviously. His kids, some of his kids were born in Manchester. They go to school there. And then, well, do we want to move? He said it would have been easy. But these are the factors people don't think about, I think, when it comes to footballers, is the family side or the personal side of things. We just see the money. And to be fair, I'm going to be totally transparent, guys. If I do get an offer of £700,000 a week to sort of go to,
don't say to me.
I think I'd just be, you might not be seeing my face around here again. So that might be a bit of an issue. Yeah, exactly. We need a car screeching out kind of noise, I think, for that one. But Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But then when you've already got a lot of money, does an extra lot of money make a difference? I suppose if it's generational, once again, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Say that though, Owen. I feel like let's just be real. Like footballers are already on generational wealth anyway. You know what I mean? They're never going to go broke again. Actually,
No.
but if I don't know how you would go broke again. Yeah, if you invest your money right into certain places, there's no way they could go broke again. Heck, even if they just keep a certain amount in the bank in a high interest bank, they can never go broke again. You know what I mean? So it's literally
This,
generational
look at
wealth
this,
that they're on already.
Joe accounting view. Look at that. Just a little bit of financial advice from Joe. Just put it in. You heard that, folks. Just put money in a high interest bank or something. So
No, well, I mean, if you have over £3 million in a high interest bank,
take
yeah.
that advice. Take that advice from if you've learned nothing this morning, folks, nothing. Put it. Well, the next T-shirt's coming out soon from the United View store. Links in video description. You can scan the QR code on the sidebar shortly. Put money in a high interest bank or something. So that's the advice.
Why you the mains? Yes, it is the advice actually. Do you know how much money you get back? Do you know how much money you get back a year if you leave 3 million in the bank in a high interest account?
Not Joe Accountsman. Joe Accountsman. The Accountant 3, starring Joe Blackman.
You know,
hey, look, they're saying I'm taking the advice. So you know,
I mean,
Joe Finance PLC.
If you have that a new channel coming soon, innit? At least one of them will start getting views. But
you're going to be going on like Good Morning Britain or whatever as Martin Lewis. Well, you know, all the advice is the same. Think about those high interest bank accounts, folks. Yeah, what do I always say? So,
you need 3 million. Yes. You need 3 million, folks, to save.
Yeah, exactly. Where are we at in terms of likes? We're at over 550 likes. We still got 1,700 people watching, which is great for this morning. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. Just very quickly, there was a story that came out this morning from the Manchester Evening News saying that Inter Milan are considering making a move for Rasmus Højlund. We had heard this the other day from Fabrizio Romano and others, saying that Inter were considering making a move for Højlund this summer, with Ruben Amorim keen to add attacking reinforcements in this transfer window. Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee could depart to make room in the squad and free up vital funds. So we had heard the rumours and reports that Højlund could be on his way out. A lot of people, myself included, have said, look, if we've had the 2-year kind of sample size, it's only getting worse. Even the nickname of Hulk Højlund has started to go around. Hunter Hurst Højlund, another one has started to go around. A lot of these wrestling nicknames and terminologies, it's just getting too much. Maybe he needs to go back to where he made a name for himself, kind of, which is Italy, go back to Serie A and go to Inter. And, you know, maybe he could be like many a former Manchester United player and actually thrive in the Inter Milan side. But the Zirkzee one's interesting too, because he was a name that, due to his second half of the season, everyone said, oh, we're starting to see something from him now. So we kind of wanted him to stay. But can now Zirkzee be on his way too? Could this be indicative of just how ruthless Manchester United are going to be in this summer transfer window, selling both their strikers? And if we sell both strikers, certainly we're going to need at least 2, maybe even more. Could you see Zirkzee going, Joe?
Do you know what? I can see Zirkzee going. And it's unfortunate for him as well, because he wasn't bought for this manager. But he's multifunctional though. So I would have thought that the manager would have wanted to keep him. But, you know, you never know. I don't know what Amorim's vision is for next season. But I can see them both going. But this is why I'm kind of excited about this summer transfer window, because if they both go, who are we bringing in then? Are we just gonna have this circle of like flexible players that can just interchange up front? You know, are we actually gonna get that striker that we desperately want? Is he pushing for Gyökeres as much as we're hearing? You know what I mean? Are we gonna get a Victor? Please bring a Victor in. That's all I keep saying. Give me one of the Victors, not one of the little ones, one of the big ones, please. Yeah, please. Either Osimhen or Gyökeres needs to come here this summer. That's what I feel. Yeah, and if we can't get the likes of Osimhen or Gyökeres, we need to get someone who's scoring at least 15 goals per season. At least. Yeah.
Yeah. But Mbeumo, we just added that in. Yeah.
No, but to add to on top of what we've just got. That's what I'm saying now as well. Because if we're losing both of those, nah. Well, I know that we're not going to have many games this season, but we're still going to be in the FA Cup. We're still going to be in the other cup, the Carabao Cup. So we're still going to need players to fit in and within those systems and to interchange. They can't play every single game. I don't want them to play every single game, and someone's going to get an injury. So what we're going to do? We can't have a crazy thin squad where we're going to have to then rely on the youth again. When we desperately need to do well this season, by the way, desperately need to do well this season.
Yeah, and we just in general, we need goals, don't we? For the last 2 seasons, we've had negative goal difference. On top of that, for the last however many seasons, we've just struggled to score goals. Even when we have finished in the top 3, top 4, top 6, with our goals scored have never really been on par with everyone else around us. So we need to have more than just a goal scorer that's going to be scoring all the goals. All of those people coming in need to score goals. So that's why we're looking at, obviously, Cunha, was it 15 goals last season? And Mbeumo, 20 goals last season. But they're 10s or maybe wide players. You need still that bread and butter of need that number 9. Need that number 9. And it's more about more than just scoring goals, as we've seen with Højlund. You need someone that can hold the ball up and can actually, those number 10s or those wing backs, Ahmad, Dorgu, can actually play off of as well. And that's when people do see like a Mateta and go, well, that goal that they scored in the FA Cup final, Crystal Palace, he holds the ball up, brings the City players in and plays it out wide. Højlund can't do that. Xerxes kind of can, but is he that one then to make the run into the box or be scoring the headers? Maybe not. So, like you said, it is interesting because let's say Gyökeres and Osimhen are just a bit too far for us, too expensive, or they want Champions League football. It is interesting to think, well, who is it going to be then? Because it's going to have to be someone. And is it going to be someone that's already playing in the Prem? Is it going to be someone that we haven't heard that much about from La Liga or Liga or Serie A or something along those lines? I don't know. And like you said, I think that's a really interesting one because I wouldn't be shocked if it's not a name that's even been linked to us at this point. It could end up being someone else, but I don't know who that would be.
Yeah, me either. But I mean, obviously one name that's been linked with us that's getting quieter is Mateta, obviously. But I wouldn't be mad at that if we got rid of both of those and brought in a Mateta. But that just means we're still going to be short up front. Does that mean OB's our backup striker? Or do we go out and get another striker to go to play behind him as well? Because I understand why we'd want to get rid of Højlund, yeah, but I can't see why we'd get rid of Xerxes so early. The sample size surely needs to be a bit bigger before we can say the experiment's finished. I wouldn't even send him out on loan. I can even more see Højlund going out on loan than even getting sold this season as well. I think we're going to see a lot more loans than we expect to see than sales. Especially of the likes of like Højlund, who's a young player, Garnacho, who might not get sold. Someone might just want to take him for a season, see how well he plays. The whole Rashford situation again, could see another loan. Sancho, another loan. This is what I'm saying. I think there are a lot of players that might not start the season next season are going to be out on loan, and it's hard to sell these players on these wages, isn't it? Let's just face it. So. I don't know. Rasmus, for me, Rasmus is one that I think we should try and sell, but he's on a crazy amount of wages as well, isn't he? For someone who came.
I think he's on 85, something like that. 85. I mean, in comparison to others, it's not too bad. I mean, I agree with you with the Xerxes one. I look at that this morning. I'd be really surprised if Man United sold Joshua Xerxes this summer. I think that we just started to see him start to sort of blossom. He had a really difficult first half of the season. Obviously, that game where he got substituted after like 30 minutes. In addition to that, got booed off by some. It was difficult. But second half of the season, he put in some really good performances. And even, when he was not really fit enough for the Europa League final, when he came on, he did make things happen more than Højlund had in the entire game because he can link things up. And we saw some really good performances from him. So I think he's only going to get better as he gets more comfortable. And also, as the team around him gets better, he's going to be someone to definitely benefit from that. I think, playing with maybe some more technical players, playing with players that can actually, pass the ball to his feet as opposed to just over his head or just misplaced pass in general. that will make a massive difference for him. So I don't think he'll get sold. I think there's probably been this conclusion. We heard it about when Omar Barada and others came in. Every player gets 2 seasons at least. And I think Højlund, he's had his 2 seasons. It's only got worse. So I think he's going to be on the way out. But we shall see. We shall see. Just very, very quickly before we wrap up this morning's show, a little bit more on this Bryan Mbeumo stuff, this time coming from Sky Sports. Coming from Sky Sports journalist Lyle Thomas, who is saying this morning that Manchester United have registered their initial interest with Brentford in signing Bryan Mbeumo. Contact between the clubs has been established, but formal negotiations are yet to begin. However, there is this desire to get the deal done pretty fast, pretty quickly. There was some stuff yesterday suggesting that maybe Brentford were a bit annoyed, a bit frustrated that it's kind of played out in public a little bit over the last few days, and they know now that everyone knows that United are going to lead the race and they can't really negotiate with someone else, and they might look for a similar transfer fee to that we're paying to Wolves, etc. But this one is going to get done. I'd be very, very surprised if this one fell through, because if it does, I'll have to go into hiding for a few days because that clip's going to be making the rounds on social media. You've kind of shot our shot on that one, so...
It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. The only way it could fall through, we could blame it on this. We could blame it on the post from today. Innit? What? He wants 250 grand a week.
Yeah,
that's what we'll
exactly.
say. Crazy.
Exactly.
That's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. We did the same thing Newcastle did. It's okay.
And I tell you what, as well, Joe. Yeah, Man City this morning are moving. They're moving. Not only did they get a here we go on Reinders for like 43 million euros. On top of that, just in the last few seconds, Fabrizio Romano tweeted another bomber saying he understands Manchester City and Ryan Cherky have reached an agreement on personal terms. Official bid from Man City and Lyon to Lyon will be submitted in the next few hours in order to advance after the initial club-to-club talks started over the weekend. So in the space of a few minutes, looks like City getting not only Reinders, but also Cherky next season. All above, yeah? It's going to be big. It's going to be a big season.
We've done well so far. They've signed.
We have done well, yes.
Yeah. What's the problem? We're doing well. Don't be scared of them. They didn't listen. Next season we'll see anyway. Man City. Hopefully they'll be just as rubbish as they was this season. No more silverware for City.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Well, they didn't get any last season, did they? Didn't get any last season. So there you go. But big up to everyone for tuning in this morning on the Transfer View. As per usual, where did we end up in terms of likes? We are over 600. Let's see if we can get to 750 on the way out. We're still close to 1,700 people watching. Be sure to subscribe as well. You can see in the top right-hand corner, less than 500 to go into 195,000 subscribers. It's Wednesday, so we'll have more content coming up from probably, Flex, KG, and Josh. They're all on their travels today, so maybe we might see something from them later on in the day. You never know. If not, if there are any other breaking news, I will be here, so you can stay tuned for that. Joe, are you going to be live on KG's Reckless Sports shortly?
Right after this, mate. I'll be there in about 10 minutes, guys. If you just wait for me, I'll be there in 10.
Exactly. You'll be there in 10 minutes and you'll be redirected over to KG's Reckless Sports. So whilst you're over there, give Joe some love and, of course, hit the subscribe button and like there as well. Have a good one, folks. As I said, any more breaking news, we'll be back later on. Have a good one. We'll be back again soon. Peace.